Hi, welcome to You,
Me,
and CV. I'm Mike.
I'm Gia.
And today we're going to be talking about our favorite Halloween episodes.
Yeah.
It's about to get spooky up in here.
Do we have a spooky version of the theme song playing before the...
We did not.
Why not?
I didn't make one.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just a regular theme song.
If we were like a popular podcast with like a lot of listeners, like one of them would have made a version of it and sent it to us.
That's true.
Like
they
a
would have.
spooky version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, listeners, if you want to make us a spooky version of a theme song,
Yeah, if you've got the skills.
then send it
Do
to
it.
us. Make it, send
We'll
it to
play
us. Well, not on this
We'll play it.
episode.
Our next episode is going to be a Thanksgiving episode,
and we'll have
right?
a spooky intro
Yeah.
to it.
Well, if someone can think of a Thanksgiving theme song, if you want to send that to us, but what would that be? Just like
It would have turkeys gobbling in the background.
background?
Look, if you want to make a Thanksgiving themed version of our theme song, we will play it on the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a few fans. We've got that. There's a guy in Australia
There's a
who's
guy
let
in
us know that
Australia?
he's listening.
Yeah, and Aussie.
We really appreciate
as I
it.
learned is
Yeah.
the correct pronunciation.
We're excited about that.
Australia, by the way, we've got tons of fans. I mean,
Yeah.
our most listeners are in the United States. Second most, Australia.
Yeah,
Shout out
down
to our
under.
friends down under.
Very cool.
Oh my goodness.
It's exciting.
Yeah, but we don't have any spooky music, even though this is the Halloween episode. But we do have spooky names for ourselves. So I'm going to go by Spooky Mike in this episode, and you're going to go by...
Do I have to say this?
Well, you're going to go by GIAck-o-lantern.
I guess that's what you've decided.
It's a clever name I came up with just now. Don't worry about it. No, anyway. So, hey, welcome to the podcast. Look, if this is your first time listening, hey, what's up?
Yeah, welcome.
Well, welcome.
Welcome.
What was that?
That was a vampire because it's a spooky Halloween episode.
Goodness.
Welcome to our podcast.
Okay, well, it is a spooky Halloween
I
episode.
want to suck your blood.
Oh, right, that's enough
Okay.
of that. But
Okay.
but this is a little bit different than our normal episode. So these are some bonus episodes we're gonna throw at you during the holidays here.
Yeah, because normally we're breaking down pilot episodes.
Yeah,
of
so
TV
what we would
shows.
typically do, we take a look at a first episode of a TV show and we would break it down, recap it, talk about our own experiences watching it, how we relate to it, all that kind of stuff. And you can check out all those great episodes. We got like 25 of them.
Yeah.
So subscribe, check them all out. And but here we're gonna be talking about 10 of our favorite, in no particular order, our favorite Halloween episodes of TV shows.
Yeah.
And
We're not going to go through the whole
no,
episode.
this is not going to be a 10-hour long
We'll just
podcast.
we'll just give you a brief explanation of what happens.
Well,
in
yeah,
each
because,
one.
sometimes...
And why we like it.
And why we like it. Sometimes you're just kicking it, trying to just relax and maybe watch something spooky, but maybe you don't want to watch a horror movie. Maybe you don't want to watch Friday the 13th, 7.
Yeah, you just want something to help you get in the Halloween mood.
Something
Fun
and
to
so
get in the Halloween mood.
We're going to tell you 10 episodes of shows that you can find streaming on Netflix, Amazon, or Hulu, or HBO. And we'll tell you where you can find them, which season, which episode, when they aired,
Yeah.
and we'll break them down
And
a
that
little
was
bit.
important to us, was to find shows that are actually streaming, that you could find streaming, because we actually had to cut some of the ones we were planning
Well,
on.
let me tell you, yeah, we had our own little spooky moment a couple of weeks ago. So I get on to the old Hulu machine, which is the TV
Right.
with Hulu loaded up on
Yes.
it. And I'm looking for Boy Meets World because I had a controversial pick for one of our 10 favorite. This is the Boy Meets World episode where it's called And Then There Was Sean. And it's,
which is not actually a Halloween episode. I think it aired in February.
it aired in February.
originally.
And but it's sort of like a Scream spoof. Also
Yes.
kind of a South Park spoof.
It's very bizarre.
It's real wild, and it's
Yeah.
one of my favorite episodes, even though it's bizarre.
Yeah, and Boy
But,
Meets World was streaming on Hulu because we did an episode on it
And we went
before.
Yeah, which is fantastic. You should check it out. Not you were there,
I was there.
but you, the fan.
Yeah.
Fans plural. Hopefully. Yeah, and I'm looking on Hulu and I was like, where's Boy Meets World? It's not here. Family Matters was there. Step by Step was there. Hanging with Mr. Cooper
You
was
know
there.
who I blame?
Who do you blame?
Walt Disney.
Walt Disney himself, you frozen jerk. Not Frozen because the movie, Frozen because I think his body is literally frozen, right?
Beyond the grave.
Yes.
He's ruined this for us.
He is
So
ruining
it's
it.
very spooky, very Halloween-y.
Well, then it got even weirder because...
Tell us what's going on.
What, about Hulu?
Yeah.
What am I saying?
Well, what Walt Disney has to do with the
Disney
fact that
Plus?
it's gone.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
Disney Plus is coming out, I think, next year, and it's a new streaming service, and that's where Boy Meets World is eventually going to end up. But look, it's not out yet. So right now, there's nowhere. I mean, I guess I could have bought the episode through Amazon.
Yes,
but,
you can. You can. If you want to do this, we looked into it. It costs like, what, $1.99 or something to watch that particular
It's something
episode.
like that.
So, I mean, if you really want to watch it, or just know that that's an option for you.
But you know what? That's not even one of our top 10 episodes.
No.
Well, it was, but now it's not.
We bumped it. We got other stuff that
we got you out of here. And actually, though, too, after we couldn't find that one, we went and looked for one of our other top 10 episodes on Netflix, and it was no longer on Netflix either. But we'll get into that because that's one of our episodes. We found it on Hulu. But we'll get into what that is in a moment. So, should we just get in?
Disney Plus is ruining everything, I think, is the main or central thesis for this episode. I think
so. Until it comes out, and then we decide to get it. But you know what? I don't know how many streaming services I want, though, guys. All right? I'm not getting Apple TV. I don't know where I would even watch that. I don't have an Apple phone or an Apple TV device.
No.
Side note, that Steve Carell show, which it's not even a Steve Carell show, but it's not The Newsroom. That's that HBO show. What the heck is the name of this show? The Morning Show? Something like that?
Something like that.
Well, if you've seen the previews for The Morning Show, it's sort of like Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston, and Steve Carell are in it, and it feels like it's kind of taking a look at the Today Show scandal, which if you guys are in Australia, which I know some of you are, you might not be as familiar with it. But either way, the show looks real boring, even though Steve Carell's in it. But speaking of Steve Carell, he's got a show that we haven't talked about on this podcast very much, even though I think we did talk about it in our season finale episode.
Have we not done that yet?
No, we haven't done The Office yet.
Oh my gosh, well, maybe
we'll be doing it next season. But we did talk about it on our season finale episode. And you know what? We're going to talk about The Office a little bit here on our Halloween episode.
Oh,
so
it's the first item on our list.
First item on our list, again, no particular order. And this is sort of a combined list between the two lists. These are all mutually enjoyable shows, except for there's a few where maybe you like it better than me. Maybe there's at least one where you picked it and one where I picked it.
But we had a conversation and we each, I think, lost some things that we wanted, but we arrived at a
solid list.
Yeah.
It's a solid list. So check it out. The Office. So the episode title for their Halloween episode that we've chosen, because they have a few, is Halloween. It is season 2, episode 5. It aired October 18th, 2005. And, oh man, that was 15 years ago today as we record this.
That's so weird.
14 years ago today as we record this. And it is currently streaming. I'm going to say currently streaming because who knows? I mean, Office is going away in a year or 2 years. I don't know. But it is currently streaming on Netflix, though we have the DVD. So
we'll be fine.
We will be fine. And so, Gia, let's talk about this episode a little bit. This is a great one. So this is season 2. It's right toward the beginning of season 2, but this is really when The Office starts hitting its stride for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh, some of the good costumes in this one too.
Oh, there are good costumes because Halloween really is going on kind of in the background of this episode. It's not like super Halloween-y.
Right, but it does deal with some scary stuff.
Yeah, it is going on Halloween.
Because Michael has to fire somebody.
Yeah, because they're downsizing.
By the end of the month.
Yeah. And so
he waits till the end of the month because he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, which is Halloween.
Yeah,
and there's even a quote in it, like somebody's like, "Why did you wait until Halloween to do this?" And he was like,
"This is scary stuff."
Yeah,
that's good. And the whole time, Michael is wearing such a weird costume that I never quite understood. I don't know why he's wearing.
He's like a two-headed man, so he's wearing a paper mache version of his head on his shoulder of his like normal work suit.
Is it from something?
I don't think so.
It would seem like Michael would have it be from something, doesn't it? Like it would be an old SNL sketch or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
If it is from something, you the listener, let us know. I don't think it is either. But
and do you think he made it himself? He like paper mache'd his own head?
I don't think he has anybody to do it for him.
Maybe his mom. We never see his mom, but he's mentioned his mom.
He calls her a couple times, I think, in the series.
Yeah.
So
that's what's going on is somebody is getting fired that day, and I think it like leaks to the office that somebody is about to get fired, and they don't know who because Michael hasn't decided yet who it's gonna be. But he's got to do it by the end of the day, on Halloween. So everybody's like concerned about this, but also everybody's wearing Halloween costumes.
So it's extra silly.
Yeah.
There's even one line I think where Angela is saying that she's like, well, I went through, because they're in accounting. She's like, I went through and I found somewhere in the department or somewhere in the office where there are 3 people doing the work that could be done by 2 people, and she's sitting there with Oscar and Kevin. Yeah,
they're the accounting department. That's the department.
And then they just kind of ignore that. And I love it. Some other good costumes in there. Jim, this season, he is 3-hole punch Jim.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid, just slacker, not really caring, but caring
also
enough.
Relevant because they're a paper company.
It's actually even dorkier, version. I think, than he thinks he's being cool. It's like super dorky. It's a paper costume.
Yeah. And Pam has the most basic costume you could possibly have, which is a cat, meaning black clothes and cat ears, and I think she's got some face paint on too. But side note, we're going to a Halloween party tomorrow night and we don't have costumes, so our plans are to be cats.
That's the plan.
Because that's the easiest costume you could possibly put together.
I love these Halloween episodes. I think that's something that we don't see as much anymore in TV, because this, as I mentioned, is season 2. It's episode 5. And as I was going through all these episodes of things, it was always like the second season.
Oh, yeah.
And it was always like the 5th or 6th episode, because that's when Halloween would happen.
Right. Because shows would premiere in the fall. And about 8 episodes in, you would get the Halloween episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now with streaming, that's not as much of a thing anymore.
I know, it's not. Or if there is a Halloween episode, it's not. You would just be happening. You might happen to watch it around Halloween, but that's not typically the case.
So I guess that's probably why most of the shows on our list, maybe all of the shows on our list are
they are.
Older
yeah, they're
shows.
all older
they're not
shows.
Things that have been streaming recently.
Right. Although speaking of shows streaming recently, and this is not the next one on our list, but we just watched the show Undone on Amazon.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, and that
Good
takes
show.
place all around Halloween in a way.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So if you're looking for something newer to check out, that's not like a Halloween episode of a show, but something that in some ways uses Halloween as a backdrop. It's not a spooky show.
No.
But it's that's
it's a
kind of
very
cool show.
You should really for sure check it out.
Yeah. Should we say anything else about The Office, or should we move on?
One thing. Well, there's a character in this particular episode, the one who ends up getting fired.
You're talking about Devin?
Yeah, Devin, who I don't think we see at any other point.
I don't think so too. Although I think even in the second season, around the first few episodes, we see a couple other background characters, because the British Office, I think there's a whole assortment of background characters, and season 1 of The Office, there was definitely a few background characters.
That's
like
true.
that.
We've probably seen him in the background a
right,
little bit.
Yeah.
But a thing that I like about this episode is like Michael kind of comes across as like not the greatest guy throughout this episode, because he's got to fire someone and he waited until a holiday to do it. But then we kind of get like a nice redeeming moment for him at the end of the episode, where he's just like passing out candy to trick-or-treaters at his house.
Oh, right. At the very end.
Yeah. And he's like, he's just so delighted by their costumes, and he like gives them like extra candy, and he's just real sweet with these kids.
Yeah.
After having had a really rough day at work. And I thought that was a nice moment for him.
I like it too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, hey, let's move on to the next show. And we'll spend different amounts of times on different shows in here. It'll be sort of like Total Request Live, TRL.
Oh, that's true.
Back
sometimes you get the full video. Sometimes you just get like
Carson Daly talking over a clip of it.
4-second clip.
There you go.
Oh, that was the worst, wasn't
it?
Like because you didn't used to be able to like just listen to whatever song you want. Kids, it didn't used to be like that always. You would have to wait until it came on the radio or on Total Request Live. And it was the worst when the song that you were like waiting to hear was just talked over by Carson Daly or the radio DJs who were playing that song on the radio.
So some of these we will devote more attention to than others is my analogy there.
Sorry if we Carson Daly your favorite show.
But hey, we'll tell you where you can watch it.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh man, when they put that show from like 2 hours back down to an hour, oh gosh, just wasn't the same.
No.
Oh, just was not the same. Anyway, hey, keeping in the same sort of universe of The Office. Not exactly in the same universe, but it's not the same universe, but it's in the same realm of creator type of people.
You're positing a world where
I'm positing a world
Filippelli and Ann Perkins are sisters,
one and the
cousins?
same. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Twins. Identical twins. Separated at birth.
Okay.
One ended up in Pawnee, one in Scranton.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you haven't guessed yet, the second show on our list is Parks and Recreation.
Parks and Recreation. And there are a few different Parks and Recreation Halloween episodes, but we are taking a look at the first, which is Greg Pikitis.
Yep, that's from season 2, episode 7. Yep.
And it aired October 29th, 2009. And Parks and Recreation is streaming on Netflix and on Amazon. And you know what? I thought it was on Hulu too, but maybe it's not. I don't know. But it's definitely on Netflix and Amazon.
Yeah.
And this episode, I love this one.
Yeah, this is the episode where we meet Leslie's arch nemesis, which is a teenage boy named Greg Pikitis.
Right.
Who
did we see him ever again in the series?
I don't think
maybe
so.
Briefly
maybe
as a
later.
gag, but
yeah.
no.
Yeah, but he's a prankster.
He is.
Yeah, who every year just kind of vandalizes like the parks.
Yeah,
right?
he vandalizes like a statue and also all of the benches and a bunch of other things too.
Yeah.
And she knows it's him, but she's never caught him and never seen him doing it.
And she thinks he should be very seriously punished, like with jail time or something like that.
He's vandalizing the parks.
Yeah.
She cares about the parks.
Yeah, and this is during the story arc where Leslie is dating, I don't know what his character's name is, but
she's
played by
Louis C.K.'s character, yeah.
Yeah, he's a cop in Pawnee, so
right.
she's kind of enlisted his help to help her stop Greg Pikitis. He's kind of reluctant in helping her because she wants to punish him a lot more harshly than the law would allow.
Yes.
She's also got Andy Dwyer helping. I think this is where he first invents the Burt Macklin
I think it is the first
character.
time. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, he's pretending to be an FBI agent, helping her with her like sort of sting operation.
Greg Pikitis is not buying it.
No, he's not.
And this is, what were you going to say?
Well, he ends up actually vandalizing the Parks and Recreation office.
Yes, instead of the statue and stuff.
Which has Leslie like extra incensed, but she has trouble proving that he was the one that did it. So that's what the episode kind of revolves around.
You know, and this episode's cool too because it's got the side story of a Halloween party going on. And I always love those because you got the characters dressed up like different things.
Yeah.
I think Anne is dressed like Raggedy Ann.
Yes, she is. And it's at her house, right?
It is at her house, and because she's bringing together her doctor friends from the hospital where she works with her new Parks and Recreation friends. Yeah. Which we never really see the doctor friends again necessarily.
No, but they all come dressed as like, all of her doctor friends come dressed as like doctors and nurses, which is so boring. But also, we've been to parties where people who are actual doctors and nurses
I don't want to call anybody out specifically by name, Doug.
But it's the worst. Yes, it's the worst.
But we went to a party one time and you were like training to be an EMT or something.
Yeah.
And you came dressed as an EMT.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on.
I mean, put on some cat ears and make an effort. Am I right?
I don't want to see my good friend Doug wearing cat ears in any context. But hey, speaking of that party though that we went to, we were dressed up in TV inspired costume for that party. Now this does not lead me into my next thing, but I just thought I'd talk about it because I was thinking about it.
Okay.
We were dressed up as characters from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The Birds of War from The Gang Wrestles for the Troops.
Yes, which is not a Halloween episode, but
and
they
it's
are
not on our list.
costumes.
This is a sidebar, if you will.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking about how if any of our listeners, any of our fans have TV inspired Halloween costumes from this year or even from years past, maybe I'll put a post out there and you can send them in to us and
that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll remind them at the end of the episode.
Yeah, because when we did it, when we were Birds of War, I think the party we went to was like
it was the day after that aired, or maybe 2 days after it aired. Yeah,
something like that. Back in 2010? Well, 2009 maybe?
It was a
long
while
time
back.
ago. But yeah, so we went dressed as Birds of War from Always Sunny, and I think one person at the party that we went to knew what we were,
but we made his night.
He was so excited. There's also like a song and dance that goes with the costume, and we performed it, and he was really into it.
Oh my gosh.
No one else had any idea what we were doing.
That is true. Well, hey, we've strayed off topic, but let's give Parks and Recreation a little bit more time here. I think Anne is dressed like Raggedy Ann.
Yes.
That's fun. That's a fun little pun.
Yeah.
I think
is
Ron
this the one
Swanson,
where Ron is like fixing stuff in her house too?
I don't think that's this one, but I can't remember. But I do know that he's dressed like a pirate, I think, and he says, You know what? Actually, maybe it's the one where he is fixing stuff. He's dressed like a pirate again, and they say like, Ron, that's what you wore last time, and he's like, this is my Halloween costume.
That sounds like Ron's one. Yeah.
But this is one I think that's Aziz's character, Tom Haverford, is dressed like, is he T-Pain? Or is he a Little John? I think he might be T-Pain. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
He's some sort of
either of those people
rapper
are.
who's getting the party going when it dies down a little bit.
Because he shows up with his wife, Wendy. Is that the first time we meet Wendy?
It's not the first time we meet her. I think we meet her during the Rock show at the end of the first season.
Oh, that's right, yes.
But, yeah, he brings his wife, Wendy. I think that's when Ron starts to sort of have an eye for Wendy.
Yeah.
But you know, Parks and Recreation, great Halloween episodes. There's a later Halloween episode too with where Ben Wyatt's Adam Scott is in it.
Yeah, and that's one that April and Andy are hosting.
Yeah, and Andy's dressed like a UFC fighter.
Wrestler?
No, I think
UFC.
April's a sumo wrestler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we're talking about Greg Pakaitis, and that is one of our favorite. But hey, let's move on to the next show that we're going to talk about. Okay, so hey, we're going to talk about, this is, you know what, this one might be my favorite from the list. I think it might be.
And this is a good one.
So the next one, who's that girl we're going to talk about?
Jess.
It's Jess. We're going to talk about New Girl, and this is their first Halloween episode. This one is also titled Halloween, much like the Office one. This is from Season 2, Episode 6. It aired October 30th, 2012, and it is streaming on Netflix. This episode, you know, I don't really remember all the details about this episode. There's a lot going on for us to break it down. This is when Schmidt is not with Cece, and Cece's dating that one guy who's also in I'm Sorry.
Yes.
But there's some good costumes in this.
Ronnie, what's his name on Robbie, I think, on New Girl.
Oh yeah, Robbie.
He's kind of a dork.
Right. Yeah.
But he eventually becomes friends with Schmidt. I think starting at this Halloween episode is when they decide to become friends.
Yeah, I think so. But this one I like for a few reasons. One, first off, I really love Nick's costume in this. So they go to like this Halloween.
Yeah, we love it, but we think we might have been wrong about what it was.
So
right?
His costume, I'll describe it for the listeners who have not seen the episode. He's wearing, I don't know if we really see the bottom half of him. If so, he's just wearing like jeans or something. But he's got a plain white t-shirt. He has what looks like tape or something on it, spelling out the word Arthur, the name Arthur, across the front, very big, like in all caps.
Yes.
Clearly homemade. And then he's got something on his head, like a headband thing, but like springs with what look like, you know, little balls. Two little balls.
Yeah.
I've thought for the longest time, until very recently, that he was Arthur, as in Arthur the Anteater, from the children's books and the TV show.
Was he an anteater or an aardvark?
Oh, you know what? He might be an aardvark.
I think he's an
aardvark.
aardvark.
The same thing?
I don't know, but they're similar.
Yeah, and that's what we thought he was.
Yes, that's what we thought. We thought that the little balls were like ears, like aardvark.
Right. Yeah.
Tiny
and we
ears.
thought it was just a really weird, lazy, but not that lazy costume for Arthur.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. A lot of people dress up like kids' characters and things like that, you know, being that hipster kind of vibe there. But so anyways, we were talking about that, the two of us, Mike and Gia, Spooky Mike and GIAck-o-lantern, and we were coming up with our own idea of what if we dressed up, because we need a theme, or we need a costume for the two of us and also our baby.
Yes.
And we were thinking, what if
for trick-or-treating,
what if you dress Gia-go-lantern as B. Arthur, and I dress as Arthur,
the aardvark,
and our baby dresses like a bee, because you can find bee costumes for babies.
And then we're a B. Arthur and B. Arthur,
which would be fantastic.
Yeah, no one would think it was funny. No one would know what it was, but we would think it was hilarious.
We would think it was hilarious. Yeah. But then, as we were going back and watching this New Girl episode, we realized those little googly things coming off the top of Nick's head had yellow and black stripes on them.
Yeah, we
to
think
represent maybe a bee,
antenna of a bee,
and that he's B. Arthur.
I think that's what he was.
And then I feel so stupid. Oh my gosh. Hey, if you know for sure, or you have an opinion about that, let us know.
Because it's never like referenced. It's never mentioned on the show.
Yeah, they never say what he is.
Yeah.
They say what everybody else is too.
Yeah, I love it. But
oh man, another great costume in that one is Winston's girlfriend, who he's like having some trouble with.
Yes.
And they think they're going to be dressing sexy or whatever. Winston's girlfriend dresses as Raining Cats and Dogs, which is a very elaborate costume with
she's like a queen, but like with stuffed cats and dogs taped to her.
Yeah. Winston though is dressed like a police officer in that episode, which is fun because he eventually does become a police officer.
He aspires to become a police officer. Yeah, that's cool.
And Schmidt is dressed as Abraham Lincoln, and Cece is dressed as she's in like a white dress. I forget what she's supposed to be.
Angel.
She's an angel.
Yes.
But it looks like they're a bride and groom when they're standing next to each other, which is like not cool for.
Schmidt's plan.
That was Schmidt's plan.
Because he's like trying to like undermine Cece's new relationship.
Yeah, because Robbie's dressed like a Ninja Turtle, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
great costume, by the way.
Yeah. Eventually, Schmidt something happens, and he ends up giving his costume to Robbie, I think. Which means that Schmidt has to have a Plan B costume. I won't tell you what his costume is, but it's pretty hilarious.
I forget what it is.
Oh,
Is it Magic Mike or something?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, why are we not telling people?
Well, I just was gonna leave a little mystery, but yeah, he's Matthew McConaughey from Magic Mike. So, but he points out that it's always important to have a Plan B costume.
It is,
which I think is good advice.
Yeah.
Also, what's going on in this episode is Jess is working at a haunted house.
Yeah, and at one point, Nick punches her in the face.
Yes, he does. Nick is not into haunted houses.
Not into it.
But he does end up having to go into the haunted house at one point. And
yeah. Are you into haunted houses?
No.
We've never been to a haunted house together. I don't like them either.
I don't like being startled. I don't know how that's fun for anybody. I would not want that.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm with Nick on this one.
Speaking of Matthew McConaughey, you mentioned him briefly in there. We just watched a Matthew McConaughey movie not too long ago that's streaming on Hulu right now.
The Beach Bum.
The Beach Bum. I loved that movie.
That was a fun movie. I liked it.
Loved it. And you know who else was in that movie is Isla Fisher. She's in the movie Wedding Crashers as well. And that reminds me of, we were trying to come up with Halloween costumes. And our other Halloween costume idea, which I think is really good, was to be pimps from Oakland or cowboys from Arizona.
Yeah, but then what would the baby be? We couldn't figure it out.
I'm not sure.
You would have an emerging maple syrup conglomerate.
Exactly, because there's a line from Wedding Crashers where they're talking about all the different ideas of what they'll be, and I think Owen Wilson's like, I'd like to be, or no, Vince Vaughn says, who says
No,
it?
I think Owen Wilson says, I'd like to be
I'd like to
pimps
be
from
pimps from Oakland or cowboys from Arizona, but it's not Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I love it. Hey, let's go to our next show. All right. Let's throw it back a little bit. Throw it back to the year 1989.
Oh, yeah. Is this the oldest episode we have on our list?
I do believe it is.
Yeah.
I do believe it is. So when I think of Halloween episodes of TV shows, I think of the sitcoms from the 90s. And specifically, I remember Home Improvement episodes, which we don't have any of those on our list.
No.
Sorry, Tim Allen. But, and Roseanne.
Yes.
And we do have a Roseanne one on our list.
And because they always did Halloween episodes,
and they would
or
be
at least
fun.
Most season they
would be exciting. They would be fun. And Roseanne, even though she's very strange now, and I don't watch the Connors, but the old Roseanne, that show holds up. So we're gonna talk about Roseanne. The episode title is Boo with an exclamation point in it. Season 2, episode 7, October 31st, Halloween night, 1989. And Roseanne is streaming on Amazon, y'all. And so you should check that out if you have Amazon Prime there. I should mention too, is that when I say they're streaming on these services, I mean in America, in the United States. So for our fans around the world, I don't know what's streaming on different services for you guys.
Different for you guys. Sorry.
I wish it was all the same.
We don't know.
So we watched this not too long ago. This is a fun episode.
Yeah, and again, this is one of many Halloween episodes of Roseanne, but we decided to do this one. And basically, the premise of this one is everybody is trying to scare everybody else.
Yeah.
Like with Halloween pranks.
Right.
Yeah. And what I really like about this one is I think it kind of shows how fun and playful Roseanne and her husband Dan's relationship is with each other.
I think so too.
Because they're like trying to scare each other throughout the episode, and also at different points in it, they're working together to like scare their kids, for instance. And I just think that's really nice. We don't always see on TV shows like, why is this couple together? But Roseanne, I think, does a really good job of showing us why Dan and Roseanne are together and how they have fun together. and how they keep their relationship interesting.
I think so too. And I've mentioned things like this on the podcast before, so I don't want to be, I don't know. I think Dan comes off in the way he's acting there, John Goodman's character, very hot.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, he doesn't.
He's a
not
big
like
dude.
A traditionally attractive person necessarily,
but the way he's laughing with everybody and like trying to scare everyone in a fun way.
I mean, I'd marry him.
Hey, there you go. I would not marry Roseanne.
Dan Connor,
yeah, he's one of the great TV dads.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so I really like that episode. I recommend going back and watching that, and also going back and just watching some episodes of Roseanne. Yeah. Should we say anything else about that one?
No, I
Let's
think I'm
Carson
good on
Daly that one.
Let's Carson Daly it and transition to a show that also has one of my all-time favorite dads and couples
my goodness.
on it.
Speaking of hot dads unexpectedly, the dad in this one has a hot costume, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Zorro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you haven't guessed it already, which if you guessed it already, well, good for you.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about That 70s Show, which we've covered That 70s Show on the podcast. We've also covered New Girl and Parks and Recreation on the podcast.
Yes.
And this episode, also titled Halloween. Let's get a little more creative with the titles.
Yeah,
you know what I'm going to
guys.
title this episode, though? Halloween. So, whatever.
That's true.
But this is season 2, episode 5. This aired October 26, 1999, and Netflix is where you can find That 70s Show.
And That 70s Show has a few Halloween episodes. This one, what's the premise of this one, Mike?
So we've got a few different things going on. We've got the gang. They want to do something spooky, I think. I don't remember exactly why, but they want to do something spooky, so they go to an abandoned building.
Yeah, which is like an old school
Their
building.
old elementary school.
Yes.
The one that they went to. Well, I don't think Fez went there because he's exchange student.
Right.
And while there, they find their permanent records.
Yeah.
And we reveal some dark truths about each other.
Yeah, like Jackie's middle name, which is, what is it, Beulah?
I think it's Beulah. We find that Eric Foreman is sort of, he like tattled or made something up. I think he made something up about Hyde, Hyde is like a troublemaker.
Who then got a reputation as kind of like a bad kid.
That's a fun sitcom sort of trope. That whole revealing dark secrets about each other.
We find out that Kelso was like held back a year.
Yeah.
Which also means that
he's been lying about his age the whole time, and they could have been drinking.
Yeah, because he's 18
was the drinking age.
Yeah. Which everybody feels is a huge betrayal on Kelso's part, but he's maybe not really smart enough to realize that he could have been buying beer the whole time.
I love it.
Yeah,
and Fez is dressed like Batman. So we've got that costume going on.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of interesting with this idea of permanent records, which I remember being a thing that was like talked about on like shows in like the 90s. Like I feel like on Doug. The cartoon Doug.
Mr. Bone always putting things on their permanent record. This is going to be on your
permanent record. Like, that was a thing that was referenced in TV
really
shows,
real.
but I don't think it exists.
I don't think they are.
Yeah, you work in a school. Is that real?
Well, actually, I don't think I have access to it, but sometimes when students are bored, they'll get on to Power School, which is like the grading sort of thing where they can look up their grades, but they can see all their grades throughout their time in school, but they can also find all of the times they got a reprimand type of thing, and they read the descriptions that the teachers wrote, and so they'll look back and see like, oh my gosh, in like 6th grade this is what they said, and they'll read them. So I guess in some ways it does exist, but it's not necessarily something that like colleges are looking at or whatever.
I'd be more concerned about what's your actual like permanent record is your social media presence. Kids, take note, because that's going to follow you everywhere.
Look at
Employers can look it up, schools can look it up.
There you
Be
go.
careful about what you post. It's always there.
Hard lesson from GIAck-o Lantern. I love it. Yeah. Now there's a second plot going on in That 70s Show episode. Yeah, flashbacks, because they're Why do they do these flashbacks? Oh, it's because it's when Kitty found out she was pregnant.
Yes.
And I forget what prompted
it out
that.
On Halloween.
Oh, yeah. And the flashbacks are fun because they're in black and white.
Yes.
Red acts like younger. He's dressed like Zorro.
And they're flashbacks to when Red and Kitty were throwing a Halloween party.
Yeah. And we do see that's sort of the what is it? What would you call it? The origin story?
The genesis of dumbass.
Yes.
Which is Red's favorite thing to call people.
And when he first realizes it, like a light shines down on him and he like looks up. Oh man, I love it. So that 70s show
is such a good show, and this episode in particular highlights a lot the parent characters who are my favorite characters on the show. So yeah, all around a good episode.
I love it. You know, in all these episodes, I think maybe it's because they're so early in the series, or maybe it's because the episodes are so early in the season, their respective seasons, but I think all of these, like, let's just say you've never watched that 70s show. You could start with the first episode, and that's cool, but you could even start with just like a fun Halloween episode and just be like, I think I get the vibe of this. I like it.
You could find your way into this show from this episode for sure.
Oh man. So hey, let's move on. And this next one, this was more your choice than mine. I never really watched it until recently.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite shows, and we've covered it on the podcast before. It is Parenthood.
And the episode title is Orange Alert. It is season 2, episode 6. It aired October 19th, 2010. And Parenthood is the show we were referencing earlier. We thought it was on Netflix, and it was on Netflix, but it has disappeared from Netflix, and it is on Hulu though still. So it is streaming on Hulu. So tell us a little bit about this episode.
Yeah, so one of the things I like about this, first of all, is I feel like most Halloween episodes of things are going to be sitcoms, because it's kind of easy to have a Halloween sitcom episode because you can have fun with it. But Parenthood is more of like a drama or a dramedy, and I don't think you get Halloween episodes of those as much, or if you do, it might be like Halloween is very loosely tied into the episode. But with this particular episode, I feel like Halloween really plays a central role.
It does, and they also talk about it a bunch, that it's very important in their family.
Yes. They do. So they're still like advancing the plot, you know, the way a drama would or a dramedy would. But also it's very Halloween-y, and that's fun.
Yeah, although you still have the side story where, what's her face? Lauren Graham's character is, she kisses her boss. Played by somebody who's in costume as Alec Baldwin.
It's either, it's Billy Baldwin or Stephen Baldwin. It's one of the Baldwins who's not Alec Baldwin. But,
it does look like somebody in costume as Alec Baldwin, though. So.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's the best episode on the show. Yeah, but so some things that are going on in this episode. Julia, the one who is she's a lawyer, her character is, and she's very much a feminist. And something that's going on in this Halloween episode is her daughter wants to go trick-or-treating as a beauty queen.
And Julia is not into this idea. She thinks that it's sexist or whatever. She's not into it because she's a high-powered attorney.
Yeah.
Now, in your opinion, is that a bad costume for a young lady?
You know, I feel like there are some nuances to beauty contests where people who win them usually do go on to have kind of philanthropic careers, so it's not the worst. But yeah, I don't like that there's a contest where people are judged purely on their looks. I don't think that's the greatest.
I say I've got the counter argument. One, they cannot be judged purely on their looks because people in beauty contests usually not attractive. I'm just gonna say it. They're not. And now I know I said that John Goodman is attractive, and now I'm saying beauty queens are not.
You're judging on like a very narrow idea of beauty, even when you say like they're not attractive, because they're like, you know, thin and usually very long hair, a lot of makeup.
They look weird sometimes, though. That's what I'm saying.
True, but still, it's a very narrow idea of what beauty is, and that's where I think things are problematic.
But they do, typically beauty queens are out there doing philanthropic
things. That's true. Yeah, and it certainly is a way to launch whatever kind of career you want to have. It's never a bad
Look, if we have any beauty queens out there that have an opinion on this, feel free to DM me and just kind of we can talk about it.
I might have some issues with that. No, but okay, so that's one of the plots that's going on in this episode. Another one is that Amber, who's Sarah's daughter, Sarah's teenage daughter, is going with a friend of hers to like a college party. They're high school students, so they're kind of like sneaky around and going to this college party. And Amber, who is played by Mae Whitman,
she's dressed like a banana.
Yes, which is, we think, a reference to the
Arrested
fact that
Development.
she's on Arrested Development.
Where she works in a banana stand.
Yep. Well, she
helps out a little bit.
But her boyfriend,
George Michael does. That's not her boyfriend. That's her cousin.
No, maybe.
Oh, no, you're right. No, so maybe's her cousin.
Yeah,
sorry.
Come on.
Oh, my gosh. I'm getting everybody all confused.
Yeah. But she's wearing a banana costume, which is fun because of Arrested Development.
And then, but this show, the big plot going on there deals with the son, Max, who has autism. And
he's scared of fire.
He's scared of fire.
Autism.
And they're nervous about him going trick-or-treating.
Yeah, they've always kind of avoided it because, the jack-o'-lanterns and the fire, and it's just too much for him to deal with. So that's one thing I really like about this show. We talked about it when we talked about the pilot on our other episode, but I think this, it's not only a Halloween episode, it's not only, a family drama, but I feel like it really shows something that could be a relatable experience for a lot of people, which, and sort of how this family deals with it. And I think that's nice that's such a part of the show, but it's not the main focus of the show, but it is such a part of the show that they address because you have to address recurring,
it. Yeah.
It's not like
they cure him. It's like, oh yeah,
autism one day and then we fixed it.
We
and then
fixed
we've got
it.
other
We're all good. Let's move on to the next thing. So, but I think that's really good. A couple other details about this one. We've got Dax Shepard in the episode, and in his podcast. Dax Shepard, he plays, who does he play? Crosby, the brother of the main guy. But
he has a podcast called Armchair Expert,
which we listen to and enjoy.
In real life,
yes.
not his character.
But his character in the episode, he's dressed like Evel Knievel. And I get the vibe that would be something he probably made the choice.
Yeah, because he talks about Evel Knievel on his podcast.
Right, he talks about riding motorcycles and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was a fun, nice touch there.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the next one?
Let's do it.
All right, so this next episode, the last one was one that you chose. This one is one more that I chose. You couldn't even be in the same room for parts of this.
This one was gory for my taste. I mean, to be honest, I can't handle any amount of gore. So most of you could probably handle this, but not me. I had to look away the whole time.
Oh my gosh. So this one, if you have not guessed it yet, look, it's an NBC Thursday show. It has an Academy Award winner in it, which is something I always like to say.
Who's the Academy Award winner?
I believe his name is Jim Rash. Him and Nate Faxon, they co-wrote the movie The Descendants, the George Clooney movie.
Oh, okay.
And that won Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay.
Okay.
So I think, look, you know what? If you're going to win an Academy Award, it should be mentioned at all times, even if you're just playing the Dean in Community, he does fantastic in it. I think that's his name. I'm not 100% sure. But Community, so this is Community. The episode title, Epidemiology, which is the study of infectious diseases or disease control or something like that. And this is season 2, episode 6, October 28, 2010 is when this aired, and Community is streaming on Hulu. And this one, wow, the premise of this, it's kind of like a zombie type of thing, which this is sort of, I think, right around the time maybe that Community started transitioning from a show about a community college to a bizarre, surreal, wacky show.
Oh, I was wondering, because I never really watched Community, but with that episode title, Epidemiology, do all of the episodes have titles that are subjects that you would study in school?
They don't all have titles like that, but I think that they all have titles that feel like the names of classes in a way.
Okay.
Maybe I'll look it up here and read off some more, because you've never watched that show.
No.
I think you would like it. It's a little nerdy at times, I guess.
Maybe episodes that had less biting and blood. Yeah.
I would think so. But I love Community. I've seen all of it, I think, except for the final season. They've got things like, oh man, here's some episode titles. Just FYI. Accounting for Lawyers.
Okay.
Basic Rocket Science. Aerodynamics of, and then it cuts off.
Oh, okay, so they all are kind of
I guess
classes.
They're all like that. Yeah.
Okay. That's fun. I like it when episodes shows have episode titles that kind of follow a certain convention.
Yeah.
That's fun.
But this one, I think the dean is trying to cut costs for the party, and he gets taco meat from the for a party that they're having on campus. He gets taco meat from a certain military surplus place, but it's
tainted or something, right?
I don't even know if it's tainted. They just gave him the wrong thing because it says biohazard on the bag, anyway, everybody becomes like a zombie, and it's pretty intense, and it's kind of like a zombie horror movie, but there's some fun things about this episode. One is that the dean is the music. He picked the music for the party, and it's all ABBA songs, and it's very fun and exciting. We've been watching a lot of the movie Mamma Mia recently because our child loves it.
Yep.
And he's been demanding that we watch it a lot, so even more fun to see those songs in a different context there.
Yeah, especially because I couldn't really watch this episode. I could really only listen to it because of all the gore. So
it's kind of gory.
Just heard a lot of ABBA.
Yeah. So in this one, as far as Halloween episodes go, I mean, it's not like legitimately scary, but it takes that tone.
It's gross and creepy.
It's fun. Some fun costumes in this one too. Is that Joel McHale's character, he is dressed just in a suit, and I think he's holding a soccer ball, and his costume is David Beckham because he just wants to look hot. So I like that. But I think there's a fun line in there somewhere too where you don't know the character names, and I don't remember the character names, but Donald Glover is in it, and so is Abed is the other character. I don't know his real name, but he says he's gonna fight off all the zombies, and he tells Donald Glover's character to just go. His character's Troy. He says, Troy, just go. And he says something like, I'm gonna do something that's never done before, and I'll let you be the only black man to ever survive until the end, of a horror movie, because they always kill a black guy first.
Oh yeah. So,
yeah.
It's fun.
But that's a good episode of Community. A little bit more too intense for your taste, perhaps.
I liked that. There's I don't know the characters' names because I don't watch the show, but there's one woman who was dressed as Glenda the Good Witch from Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah, that's Yvette Nicole Brown.
Yeah, but nobody could figure out what she was.
Oh, that was fun, and they were like, so she's definitely not Miss Piggy.
She's not Miss Piggy because she kind of looked like Miss Piggy, but apparently she was offended that people thought that. So.
Well, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think
so. I thought that was a fun running gag throughout it.
Yeah. That was a good episode. I like it. We got a few more episodes here.
All right.
Let's talk about the next one. This one, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
This is a little bit of a later season episode. Not that much later, I guess, now, but at the time it was later.
Because this is a very long-running show.
This is the episode Who Got D Pregnant, Season 6, Episode 7. This aired October 28, 2010, and I could have sworn this aired much more recently, but I guess that's when it aired, and that's streaming on Hulu. This is the one where Dee is pregnant.
Yes.
And they're trying to remember because she tells them in the beginning that one of them is the father, and they're trying to remember Halloween night because that's when it was consummated, apparently.
Yes, because they thought that she was just getting fat, and they've been making jokes about her getting fat, and she's like, I'm not fat, I'm pregnant, and none of them care until she mentions, oh, one of you is the dad. And
she was pregnant in real life at this time. This was her and Rob McElhaney, Mac. That was when they were pregnant with.
That's so cute.
Kid. Yeah,
that's so cute that they're together. Also, Charlie and the waitress are married in real life.
Yeah, and I think they have kids too.
Yeah,
but I don't know if she was pregnant in the show at any point. So
not that I know of.
Probably not.
But anyway, so all the guys are trying to piece together what happened on Halloween night because they were all. Not blackout drunk. I think they call it brownout drunk.
That's a really fun part where Mac, he says I was browned out, and he talks about things, and then Dennis is like, you were what now? You were browned out? And there was what's that? And he's like, that's when you're not quite blacked out. Yeah. And Dennis is like, did you make that up right now? And Mac's like, yeah, I did. And then Dennis is like, oh, I love it. And I think that's fun. But then Dennis runs it into the ground kind of by saying it over and over.
So they're pulling their memories of that night to try to piece together what happened, which means that we are just seeing kind of different versions of Halloween night happening over and over again that are getting details get switched around a little bit based on who's remembering it, and we don't really know who's
I love it.
Right or not. Yeah.
It's a fun narrative.
Things get kind
technique.
of increasingly more ridiculous.
Couple good costumes in there.
Yes.
Mac wanted. So I think Dennis wanted to go as Mario and Luigi from the Super Mario Brothers. So Dennis is dressed like Luigi because Mac was supposed to dress like Mario because they were going to go funny this year. Funny to disarm the women with their humor so they could get chicks.
Yeah.
But Mac comes. He wants to do hot. He's like, no, we're going hot. Well, he said that later. He showed up. So Dennis is dressed like Luigi, and Mac shows up dressed like the hot guy from Lord of the Rings, Viggo Morgenstein.
Yeah.
Which is Viggo I don't even know his name.
Viggo Mortensen? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Morton.
He's not
Viggo Morgenstein.
Type, so I don't know his name.
Also, another good costume is Charlie is the Phantom of the Opera, but he thinks it's a vampire. He thinks the Phantom of the Opera is a vampire.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's a wild episode.
Yeah.
That's the one
Dee
where...
is an angel, which we talked about. Cece was an angel on New Girl, so popular Halloween costume.
Angels and cats. Mm-hmm. That is typically what girls do. If not an angel, they get little wings and dress sexy, you know?
Yeah, you put on either ears or wings and you're sexy whatever.
But there's some other fun stuff in this episode too, because Dee, who they always refer to as looking like a bird, in each sort of flashback, she gets progressively more bird-like.
Yes.
And it's like once she's got little feathers taped to her outfit.
Until at one point
it's just an ostrich.
Like an actual ostrich. Or an emu. I'm not sure.
I don't know what an emu is. Oh man, I'm sure one of our fans out there will let us know the difference between emus and ostriches.
Yeah.
I'm not 100%
the Australian
sure,
one? Or do those run around in Australia?
I don't want to just say that they run around in Australia, but they might.
They could.
Yeah, certainly
they don't run around in Delaware, Ohio. I'll tell you that much.
They really do not. Well, hey, that's It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Let's go to another fun show. This is throwing it back a little bit. This is from the year 2001. This is Curb Your Enthusiasm. The episode title, Trick or Treat, Season 2, Episode 3, October 7th, 2001. And Curb Your Enthusiasm is streaming on Amazon Prime and on HBO. You know what? HBO eventually is coming out with a new streaming service, too. And I'm going to have to specify.
But they already have a streaming service, so it's very confusing.
They're going to have HBO Max, which is going to be different from HBO, which is, I don't even know. I don't know.
And what's HBO Go?
I don't even know what HBO Go is. Whatever we have is just HBO through Amazon.
Yeah.
And I love it. I think it's the same as HBO Go. I think
that's the best way to go.
Yeah, it is the best way to go. But
the best way to HBO Go.
Oh, we should HBO, you want to be our sponsor?
Yeah. That'd be cool.
I would love to have a sponsor.
Yeah.
Hey, if anybody out there wants to sponsor our podcast, we can arrange something.
We'll say whatever.
Well, not whatever. But we don't have any sponsors right now. So if we did, hey, this episode though, this one, it's not really that Halloween-y until the end.
Yeah.
Which is, actually, I feel like that's, as an adult, now that we have a kid, so sort of, I think there was the time period between when we had the kid and when we were kind of done, like, going to parties, like, all the time for Halloween and dressing up all the time, where it's like Halloween was like, it was kind of like, oh yeah, Halloween's coming up.
Oh, we need to buy some candy.
Yeah, right. Instead of like, we got our costume we've been working on, right? So I think that's, makes sense that Larry David wouldn't be focused on Halloween for several weeks.
Realistic depiction of
Halloween.
Right,
yeah. I feel like the last Halloween before we had the kid that was like, where it was like, oh man, it's Halloween. Let's make sure we do something crazy. We went out dressed like Doug Funny. And Daria, some great TV-inspired Halloween costumes. Yeah. We went out to, we went out to an establishment, and then we went to a diner afterwards, and it was packed with college kids.
Yep.
This was when we were in our mid to late 20s, probably. And
they did not know who Doug and Daria were.
They did not. They were like, what are you? And I was like, Doug Funny. And they're like, hey, this guy's name is Doug and he's funny. Yeah. And I was like, oh no, I'm old.
It was very sad.
And I think after that it was like, well, if we do anything for Halloween, great. But if not, we better make sure we at least have some candy.
Yeah.
Anyway, Larry David is not indifferent to Halloween in this episode, but Halloween comes up toward the end of the episode when some trick-or-treaters come to his house. And what are their costumes, Gia? Do you remember?
Oh, I think they went as their sisters.
One girl goes as her sister, just like her sister.
These are like teenage girls.
They're teenage girls. One girl says her costume is her sister. The other girl says she's like a teacher or something.
Yeah,
she's just dressed normal.
They appear to be not dressed up at all. And they're there asking for candy.
Larry David does not want to give them candy.
No, because they're not respecting Halloween.
They're not respecting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
that's unacceptable to him. He feels they're using Halloween just to get candy. which
is what Halloween is
Which is what Halloween is. His wife Cheryl ends up getting very angry with him for not just giving them candy. But,
because they come back.
He has principles.
He does, but then they toilet paper his house and they spray paint bald something. I'm not sure what they say, but it's some profanity that I'm not going to repeat right now because this is a dignified podcast.
Is it?
I'm even hesitant to say the name bald because that's a slur. The word bald. Well, according to Larry David, they're a protected class or whatever he says there. True. He says something like that, and I love it too because when the officer is questioning them, because the officers are very like sort of condescending toward them. Because like, why didn't you just give them candy?
He calls the police on the people who vandalized his house. Yeah.
And I think there's like a cool looking black guy officer who's bald, and when Larry's explaining like how bald is we're a people and this is a hate crime and then the officer's like I don't think that's a hate crime, and Larry's like by all means you're bald by choice, that's a style type of thing. I love it. It's all good. The rest of that episode is pretty fun too. That's the one where his friend, or maybe Cheryl's friend or whatever, says they invented the Cobb salad.
Well, the friend says his grandfather invented the Cobb salad.
It's a good episode.
And what else? Larry is trying to plan something special for Cheryl's birthday.
Oh man,
that's also going on.
Yeah, that's fun. You should check that out. Curb Your Enthusiasm we also covered on the podcast. So let's go on. This is our last one on the list here. Okay. Again, in no particular order, but this is another one of my favorites. I think New Girl is my favorite one. I think this might be your favorite. Is this your favorite?
I think so. Yeah. This is a very good one, and this is a very Halloween-y one. Like, for example, Curb Your Enthusiasm, like Halloween was more of like a tertiary plot.
Sure.
Yeah, but this one is all Halloween.
All Halloween, all the time, and what better place to end with happy endings? Yeah. Which actually, we did happy endings for our pilot episode of this podcast, which... It's
our lost pilot.
I mean, we have it, but and some of you might. Who knows? You might have heard it. It was on our feed for a while there. But anyway, this episode title is Spooky Endings. I like it. It is season 2, episode 5. It aired October 26, 2011. And this one's fun. This is where they go to like a drag show. And which there was a drag show in town recently. Yeah. And that's fun. Some good costumes from this one. Dave is dressed like Austin Powers. Yeah. And because he always wanted to go as Austin Powers, but he's been having to do couple costumes because he was with Alex for the past 10 years.
They've broken up. So
and now he can always now be Austin Powers, which he's wanted to be since like 1999.
Yeah. So it's, again, this aired in 2011. So it's kind of an outdated costume. Nobody really knows what he is. They think he's Elton John. They don't get his jokes.
There's a good joke in there too about how Alex said she never liked his couple costumes, and he's like, "What? You didn't like when I was Carlito's Way, Sean Penn, and you were." I forget some other version of Sean Penn.
Yeah, and then he was like, I thought you liked Double Penn. And she's like, no, I did not. Did not. Yeah, that's a good joke.
Oh, man. And
also, Alex says she has a cold in this episode. So her voice is really like raspy. And
she's dressed like Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
But they're at this drag show. And because of that raspy voice, well, actually, we'll back it up. There's a guy that's like into her at the drag show and flirting with her, which, side note, that's the same guy who plays the doctor in
New Girl,
who also dresses like a doctor for this Halloween thing.
Yeah, I don't think we even mentioned that. Yeah, he's in the Halloween episode of New Girl, and Jess is dating him in that episode.
And so he's in this episode of Happy Endings, and he's into Alex. But we find out, because he talks to Dave, sort of on the side there, that he thinks Alex is a drag queen because of her raspy voice and because of her Marilyn Monroe outfit. I mean, she doesn't look like a man, but a drag queen looks like a woman, or whatever. So
that's fun. Another fun thing that's going on is Penny and Max go as Penny is a new mom and Max is a baby, and she's wearing him in a baby Bjorn.
Penny had asked a guy she had gone out with a couple of times if he wanted to be that in their costume, and he broke up with her.
Yeah, which makes sense. Yes. So, but that's a fun costume. Brad and Jane in this episode are house sitting, right? So
in the suburbs.
They're not at the party with everyone else.
And they deal with some pranksters as well, because they run out of candy and they just give a bunch of random stuff, and then they get egged, and I think somebody takes their door.
Yes.
Oh, and the door of the house. And he goes and he finds a kid carrying a door, and he tries to get it back because the kid's like, no, me and my friends were the Doors, and they list like a band member from the Doors, and like he's like, no, that's not a real person, something like that.
And I don't know if it is or not. I think it probably.
I think it was.
It's not Jim Morrison,
but it was a real person.
Somebody else. Yeah.
And then the door didn't fit back in the frame, so it was not their door. He just stole a kid's costume.
Yeah. So if you've never watched Happy Endings before, because I don't think that many people have, but it's a really funny show, and it's a very pun heavy show. So yeah, if you couldn't tell, a lot of the jokes there were pun based.
Oh my gosh. So those are 10 of our favorite Halloween episodes of TV shows.
Yeah, and they're all streaming, so you could go watch them right now. And
this second and get psyched up for Halloween.
Halloweeny night.
Oh my gosh. And look, we mentioned it before. If you've got a Halloween themed costume, not a Halloween themed costume. I would hope all of your Halloween
that is TV themed.
Yes. And you want to send us a picture, do it. You know, hit us up on social media and we can like retweet those out or however you send it to us. Hit us up on Facebook at You, Me, and TV. On Twitter at You, Me, and TV Pod, Instagram at You, Me, and TV Podcast, or if you want to email us, it's You, Me, and TV Podcast at gmail.com. But yeah, send those. We'll post our pictures of some of our TV themed Halloween costumes.
Yeah, our Always Sunny one.
Yeah, maybe our Daria and Doug one.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. We might even have more. I don't know. It could be movie themed too. Who cares? Well, TV is the main thing we focus on, though, right? Yeah. So maybe we'll stick with TV. Well, we were Ghostbusters, and then they had a Ghostbusters TV show too. So
yeah, we can post all of those. Yeah.
Look, we can post it all. We're gonna be back with another bonus episode in November, probably mid-November, before Thanksgiving, hopefully, and we'll be looking at maybe 10 of our favorite Thanksgiving episodes of TV shows, and then in December with our favorite Christmas episodes of TV shows. That'll be really fun. And then also we'll have in the new year our top 10 episodes of our top 10 shows of 2019.
Yep.
And then we'll hit you up with some new episodes in the springtime probably from You, Me, and CV. And look, we love you guys listening.
Yeah,
this is so fun. I'm glad we have listeners. It's so cool that we have listeners like on the other side of the world that are like, hey, I like the show. Like when you talked about this. That's very exciting.
Very exciting. If you're listening, let us know. We really appreciate it. It's very cool.
It's awesome. And these were some of our favorite Halloween episodes of things, but look, there's spooky TV out there too. And just a side note, if you did not watch The Haunting of Hill House last year on Netflix, oh my goodness, you gotta watch it because it's super spooky, and this is the only time really you should be watching it.
But it's like legitimately scary.
Legitimately
these things
scary. These are just fun things. Also, the Twilight Zone, the old version with Rod Serling, a bunch of those are streaming on Amazon.
The show Haunted on Netflix.
You've been watching that. That's some scary
like
stuff.
Where people tell like their true life supposedly their true stories of being haunted. It's terrifying. It really is terrifying, guys.
Also, in case anybody, does want to hit us up on social media and say that we left out the Slutty Pumpkin episode of How I Met Your Mother. We went back and watched that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really liked it. It just wasn't very good. I don't know if How I Met Your Mother it holds up in reruns or whatever.
I don't know. Yeah, we did like it, but I don't know. We'll have to look at the pilot again soon and see if it's something we want to do for the show or not.
Right, yeah. Oh, man. Well, did we cover everything there?
I think so.
Oh,
I think we're good.
My goodness. Favorite Halloween candy?
Candy corn.
Oh, no.
I know it's a controversial choice, but I like it.
It is controversial. I think I like M&Ms. Anyways, have a fun, safe Halloween.
Yeah.
If you don't celebrate it, do they do it all around the world? I don't know. They do other things sometimes.
I think so.
Well, if they don't celebrate it in your country, then go door to door and ask people for candy. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah,
and
it's
you
fun.
Get candy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Actually, you probably won't if they don't celebrate it there.
That's true. You could go door to door and give people candy.
That'd be weird too.
The Halloween
You know what? If they don't, maybe just watch these TV shows and then move on with your life.
Call it a day.
Call it a day. That's what we're gonna do.
Buy your own candy.
Buy your own candy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, look, I think that's. I thought we were gonna Carson Daly over a few more of these than we did, but I guess we didn't.
We did not.
Speaking of Carson Daly, one day we should cover My Name Is Earl on the podcast.
What does he have to do with Carson?
He's in the pilot.
Oh.
It's the whole thing is about Carson Daly.
Oh.
Wow. All right. Look, we've gotten spooky enough. I'm Spooky Mike. your GIAck-o-lantern. Hit us up on social media. Keep listening. Subscribe. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. And don't give us a 3-star review and then comment on Gia's screechy voice, which is screechy because she had cancer in her throat.
I did. And, I'm sure that you didn't know that.
You probably did not know that. And
don't feel too bad.
Don't feel too bad. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for the review.
Anyways, guys, have a happy Halloween and bye.
Bye.